outside today, as usual, but I can't be bothered filming them every day, and usually they turn them off when I get the mobile. When I went upstairs, they were coming through the window from next door, and then they're coming from next door on the other side. So it's like both sides have real but also not real work going on. In other words, they do real work, but it is part of the army forces that are like the real army, except that they are like you could say like a cult, except that it's like huge, it's really big, it's the whole suburb, it's the whole community, it's the inner west where I live means that it is this suburb and all the adjoining suburbs. So it's like 120,000, maybe 130. But don't forget, they can bring people from anywhere, because as they spread ideas and information about people, and most of it is made up, but if you don't know that information or rumours are being spread, say, about yourself, and it goes all over many suburbs, and of course you are dealing with psychopathic negative people, so they love to be part of this suppression game against real life. It makes them feel powerful and part of this occult type of armed forces. Because if you have any group of people that decide to attack psychologically and even secretly physically individual humans that they actually don't know, but they have decided that that person is something somehow different to them, and they want to suppress it, but they also want to control it, because they are energy machines, beings, in the sense that, as we know, all you know, as I've been told after studying video after video, and professor and psychologist and psychiatrist after psychiatrist on the internet, but also I have studied this in my real life extensively at a personal level and at a professional level. So by that I mean that I have really looked at it. The plane is going over as I speak now, because I should show the plane, but you know, when the plane goes over, that is like the forces that are around me, which are essentially like of the God entity, which is like if you take it from a spiritual or religious point of view, that is the same being as the Lucifer that descended to Earth to basically fool humanity into separating from true connection, from true knowledge, and instead seduce those beings, or Adam and Eve, into you know, believing that it could show them the truth, the tree of good and evil, you know, whereas in reality they were already living in truth and with their proper connection, and were living correctly at their highest frequency and vibrational human level, because they were content, they were happy, and they were fulfilling the purpose of their creator. And if your creator is the creator, and then you are seduced by an artificial creator, by a technical being, like these technical beings that are around me. In other words, anyone, see, they're using machinery to make noise to do their buildings, their work, which is what I'm trying to show, that it's daily, that everywhere I go they use technology at a sound, which is a frequency vibrational level, which is why I am physically ill. You know, why my body is aching right this moment, even though I'm making a video. But, you know, it is caused by these android psychopathic beings, which are technical in nature. They're using technology. They are brought into existence through artificial means. Now, many people don't disagree with artificial creation. They think, what's the difference between creating a human artificially or doing it naturally? Particularly if some poor humans seem to be incapable of creating naturally. And that is assuming they are both real human. I would say that if you can't create naturally, one of you is not human. Because two spiritual human beings should, by all accounts, be able to create naturally. There will be difficulties because man and woman have separated so much from their original creation, as we know. But that is only the process. It will still happen, but it also can happen that you can make love or make creation. But if you don't make love, if you just make creation, in other words, without any high spiritual love or feeling for who you interact with, you will probably be creating with a possessed one, and therefore you will not bring an entirely healthy life into reality. It will be difficult. You will have exceptional problems. You know, you will have difficulty with your offspring. Is that the word? Your children. You know, what you have created. And then if you are, say, married to a possessed one, or you whatever, or if, as is common now, there is not natural creation, male-female creation, or there is not natural love connection between man and woman in creation, and therefore you know, like marriage and commitment and staying together to support one another to raise, say, a child. All this is what has transpired in my life, but also in a lot of other people's too, and therefore there are massive problems. And in many ways the children bear the brunt of that and have to then live a limited existence because they will be suppressed, like you might have been too. It depends, like I say, unless you have a spiritual connection, love connection between two natural man and female individuals, then there will not be perfect conception, and therefore you will have problems with your creation or your offspring, children, and I'm trying to impress here by using a lot of words because the demigods all over the internet use massive amounts of words. They do that because I always try to use a couple of words because I think I'm not getting it across if I just use one, even though it probably is not the case. There's work being done on this side of me through this possessed neighbour's house, and then on this side through this possessed neighbour's house. When I say possessed, that means they have the spirit of Lucifer, or Lucifer, who basically then some people have changed that name because this being changed and turned against where it came from and its creator and all this sort of stuff that we know. So, but I'm basically surrounded here, but it's not as noisy as what it could be. And of course they turn the sound off as soon as I turn the mobile on because they're one step ahead, because they read your mind. It is a total artificial matrix around me, and that is the reality. That is the world. That is the reality. But people don't believe it. They don't believe that every sound, every action of every person, if they are all psychopathic people, which means they're basically artificial in nature, they're using technology to suppress me. See with the sound, can you hear the sound? That is new today. Them people only come here a day or two ago because we've had massive noise on this side going on. And of course before that we had it directly opposite, and then we had it just there. I mean, figure it out yourself, how much sound follows day after day. And this goes on. This is what I must emphasize. This is where, you know, it's a matrix or there's a patrol system around you, is because it doesn't happen once every 6 months. It happens every day of the year. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. It never stops. They're relentless. You know, this matrix and Lucifer and its beings. Some of these people may follow this god unconsciously because Lucifer would use psychopathic, self-centered, oblivious to the world and everyone else except themselves type beings. In other words, what they now term the classical narcissism, in psychology that is, and essentially it's an out-of-touch mind that's out of balance, that's basically insane, but can operate perfectly functioning. See, this is the thing. Many people think that to be out of touch and to be psychopathic and to be insane, that you cannot function. A lot of these beings can perform better in jobs than what I could. But their nature is deranged in that they don't understand personal interactions. They don't understand people. They have no feeling for life of any sort. They pretend they do because they learn this from childhood, that in order to survive in this world you have to pretend to be a compassionate, normal person. But they don't feel it. We know this with psychopaths, but we think that psychopaths are so rare that we don't have to worry about them. Whereas in reality, around me, they make up 99% of the population in the inner west. And don't forget, they can bring people from further too, because it just depends on how much influence they have. And as you know, if you spread a rumour or a lie about someone, and if you target that lie to the mind of the person you're talking to. In other words, if you're talking to someone and you know someone has, say, a particular belief or a particular prejudice or a particular idea, and you say, oh, so-and-so, oh, that lady that lives down in Henry Street, Leichhardt, she disagrees with that, she's done this and that, but I don't even know about it. Well, then they're going to think, oh, gonna get back at that person, yes, I'll be part of that control system, but of course there is more to it than that. because they're not normal human beings. Even a normal human being would say, well, okay, so someone else has got a different belief, someone else has got a different idea. They're not affecting me or my life, and it's their business. It's usually you would walk away. I know I would. I would not. I would just not associate with that person. But I certainly wouldn't spend my time with a vendetta against them and spending all my time thinking about them, patrolling and controlling them. Of course, they're not spending all their time, but don't forget, some people do like to be part of a community. They like to be part of things. And they could be seduced that way, a bit like they're lonely, they get friends out of it, they feel as though they've got a comrade, they feel as though they've got support, which is more than what I've got, so I get that. They probably don't even need it, but they might even become fearful that these people could turn against them too, because these are massive numbers. It's like you have to be part of the law, you have to follow the law. Otherwise you're in trouble. So it's the same thing, it's like society. Except that these people are really, again, not working with the laws of society, because stalking and harassing and threatening a human being is actually against the law. But if you can do it covertly to where every car on the road is doing it, and they're only doing it around one person, basically you can't prove it, and they know that. And you could, if it was one stalker, you could take a number plate and say, I know that person, they're stalking. But if it's most traffic and huge trucks and buses and things, people would say, you are insane. And that's exactly what they want you to do, because they want you then to be proved insane, whereas it's really them that's insane, because they're the ones who are psychopathic in nature. They're the ones who are patrolling and controlling and patrolling a human being daily in a systematic, covert manner. But also, even it's out in the open to me, but like I say, most of the people that are walking past me are pedestrian patrol stalkers. So as the traffic only makes, say a car beeps its horn at me as it goes past, or revs up its engine, even if there was a real human, they'd think that was just a random noisy young driver that was, showing off, because they would be past me soon, Whereas if they were with me 24 hours a day and realised that most vehicles are doing this 24 hours, then they might actually see a bit of a system. Of course, if someone is psychopathic and of the narcissistic nature, and they were, say, your husband or a relative, they might see some of this, but they may dismiss it and actually find that there was an overwhelming coincidence, say even at a noise level, provided they saw you regularly, but because it doesn't fit with their reality and they are also psychopathic, they live in their own world, which is so self-centered that they don't see much of the reality around them, not unless it affects them, they would actually not care and dismiss that anyway. So, and this has been a little bit of experience, but either way I'm diverging, and I better fold up because that noise will start up as soon as I turn the mobile off, just showing that there's two lots of noise again. In other words, that it's every day. I don't film every day, but this noise goes on every day except for Sundays when they're not allowed to work. But on Sundays they still have the patrol force, and of course they can still have random, it's just unbelievable the amount of random road work that goes on a couple of streets, because I might only walk almost regularly on, say, a couple of streets. You probably say, well, maybe it's time I walked on some different streets, but of course they just bring the vehicles and the road work round onto a different street. You'd have to, some people have even said that targeted individual people that are obviously different or somehow different to the majority, I actually was horrified and surprised at this when I looked into this when it first started happening to me, that ones that are a few that are a lot more up on it and with more means actually went to different countries to kind of get away from being hit with direct energy and this, although I would think that it varies from person to person how much they can get away with and what they want to do too. But they actually went to another country and it was the same, because I think because I think it is a belief system, or at least it's controlled by the God entity of this world and its beliefs and ideas, and basically the idea is controlling real life humans, because this being never liked man, woman from the very beginning. There was resentment and then envy, and then that obviously fueled this being into contempt and dislike, and then low vibrational hatred, to where this being descended into a kind of madness. But of course the problem was that the being had already descended into madness before its contempt of human beings, because it turned against its creator, the creator of all, as we know in the kind of biblical story, turned against its creator because that iniquity that they said the creator found in this being, that this creator had actually worshipped, you could say, and thought was a wonderful creation. But it saw the iniquity, it saw the envy coming, and the want to be greater still, and the want to take creator's place, even though this being was not a creator being. It did have wonderful abilities, I would imagine. It certainly was admired and adored, so it must have had something, and it had a huge amount of admirers even in the so-called heavenly realms. So I'm guessing that, and it was able to convince and seduce many to follow it out of the best realm or location, you could say. So it's strange, but that's what happened, was that when this iniquity was seen, which was really madness, because it had inflated its sense of who it was to where it thought it was God, even though it was a technical created being, or at least was not real life. But it became probably deranged by this realization, particularly more so when real life was created on earth, when man and woman were created, and to its dismay were going to multiply, were told to multiply. See, that was the thing that also disturbed this being, to where it then became almost crazy with resentment and like, what, I will be not only surpassed but surrounded by multitudes. And so then its idea was to get as many beings and to multiply itself, or ones that would believe in it, to suppress the humans. And this was done at first, obviously, by convincing the humans to turn against or to walk away from their creator and walk out from paradise, essentially into chaos, because it was like that, because they didn't have any control then over their reality or their surroundings, whereas in their Garden of Eden they had a paradise. They were in control of it, they were given dominion over it, and they had one another, they had everything they needed. It would have been absolute bliss, I would imagine, but they were seduced by this being, just as the creator himself was very proud of this being and admired it. Didn't realize that it was slowly and maybe always had that seed of iniquity in it, that because it was not original life created that way, that even the Creator realised, probably, I'm saying this and putting myself at some sort of, I don't know, risk of some people maybe not agreeing, but the Creator had created something technological and realised, like I do, that technology is not a benefit to a human being, that it is anti-life. Any form of technology, if you worship it or incorporate it into yourself too much, or if you multiply with it, if you incorporate it too much into your mind, if you worship it, if you believe in it, even if you believe, like I have, in the demigods. That means that the well-known people on the world stage that pretend to be, and they are pretenders because they're artificial beings pretending to be human, singing your love songs, acting out your most passionate dreams and desires in movies, telling you the truth with their greatest philosophers and their greatest poets and their greatest psychologists, and giving you facts and information that astound you about the world and about yourself. All these things that they steal basically from the real human mind, the real human beings. While the human being feels small in comparison, say, even with the computer, because the computer has more knowledge, the human being doesn't realise that the computer has stolen all this information from real life's mind, from the 3/4 of their mind which is largely closed off. And I mean, are the tarot readers legitimate? Like, are some of them, because they have so much knowledge and can read the human mind, which they actually openly say, because they're openly, this reading here now will tell me everything about my situation right this very minute. If I tune into this every day, which I have for a long time, and many, many, many others studying it, just as they study me, they will tell me my innermost thoughts, what I should do, because what I'm thinking what I should do, you know what I mean? Because of all the difficulties around me. It will say, you know, that it's but, you know, is it another real human being that is just more awake and therefore got more of their psychic abilities than a normal human? Or are they the artificial psychic demigod beings? Because don't forget, the God entity and its beings have been given access fully to the human mind. This is why they can do all these things. So is it just another version of the demigod, say, music idols, or, you know, your actors that will act out your fantasies in movies? Your dreams and your fantasies will be put into movies. This I see myself. And of course, I notice it because I watch particular movies that are a lot more related to myself, you know. So therefore, but, you know, they're icons too, see. But, you know, I'll have to turn that down because it's distracting me. But, you know, even you know, like, I am very, very well known with the movie idols or icons, so well known with them that it is not funny. But and I put this picture, didn't I, to show that that is a duality being from birth, but it's turned into, see, they're showing it, look, you know, they're showing that, but all I'm saying is that, you know, that there's a blowfly in here. It must have come in when I was at the window. Don't forget that the forces around can, I picked this up like myself, just almost instinctively, that they can control a lot of life around through technology, because the technology can be used, like the Wi-Fi through the air can be used to direct, say, a blowfly inside the house. When you open the door, you have to open the door, but of course I opened the door to show the noise that was coming, and that I had lots of work around me, because don't forget I am, I was, sorry about that, but I was, this just come up, you see, so they're trying to put me off my train of thought, but because, see, because that way I look like a fool, as though I'm all scatterbrained and don't know what I'm talking about, but that's just because I am clear in my thinking, but when I go to make a video, I'm unprepared, and I was just going to show the sound, you see, and then I get on a roll. But essentially the all, as I've said before, all your movie icons in particular, you have the duality reverse at the physical level. So this so the most magnificent of your physical idols, like I was trying to show how different they are as children and when they're first brought into the world through photos. See, like that. See, oh, hold on, see, I didn't get that because it was too quick, because this is, I should show those ones where they show all your famous people from baby, and it does show, interestingly enough, it does show that they're not very you know, that they're often a lot, I was going to do that particular one, you know that one from the 30s, the famous predecessor to the idol, you know, the most feminine idol of the 50s, but you know, the blonde goddesses, but but you know, the transformation, and they actually say these are transformations on those baby through to present time. They say they are transformations, and they are, because you know, there's lipstick there on that child, so that's why. But and you know, in fact, it's amazing how a few, see, that is the child that became the beautiful goddess. So and of course it does show how a few procedures at a surgery level can change, and then, you know, changing the you know, just even at a superficial level, you know, there are many you know, there are many you can, you know, a very you know, yourself a very you know, a very attractive male, if you plonk a wig on their head and cover them in lipstick and huge amount of makeup, they, and you know, they look like, that's the baby. What does that look like? Baby. That's the baby. You know, they look like, kind of like woman, but not properly, usually. But if you just modify the face with 1 or 2 surgery procedures, you have what looks like an absolutely authentic, real woman. This is shown in video after video. But, you know, these ones are your best. These are the best of the best. The best of the best. And I wasn't planning on doing this because this documentary just came up. I didn't put it in. I wasn't going to watch it. I've seen so many documentaries on all these old movie stars. I have no need to see them. No need to see them. See, it's amazing how even... In fact, it actually is amazing how how babies... Oh, I was going to say that sometimes as they get older, but I was going to show that too, because the other actress, the great, one of your greatest actresses, or supposedly, and I wouldn't disagree with it, I'm not talking about their abilities as actresses. I am saying that what they act out is not what they are. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that they are a lot different to what you think as you know, as human beings. And this is why some of them are actually a little bit unbalanced and will even be acknowledged that way. But sometimes you either see it or you don't. See, like I can look at most of these ones now and see them instantly, see another part of them. In other words, I can see the 2 in 1, I can see the duality, I can instantly see, and some of them are so magnificent that it is hard to see it. You can still see it, but it's like, you know that the average person is not going to see it. They're going to see what they are projecting and what they want you to see and what the God of this world wants you to see. And this being itself can project seduction in male or female form, you know. This is so. And that is essentially, this being will project anything. Will project anything, you know, will project anything to fool the human being, because it doesn't have a stable mind or a stable identity. And this is what is now being projected onto us. If you think about the world now and the society, we have become a lot more unsure of our identity, a lot more, many uncomfortable in their human bodies, confused about who they are, where they came from, because they don't come from anything that's stable, even in this reality. And I know this for a fact myself, and I also am aware of it at personal levels. You know, without a stable beginning and a stable life, and this computer is just downloading all this stuff as I speak. See how it's downloading all that stuff as I speak. So the computer looks as though it knows more about humanity, and it does. But that is because it is downloading everything to take over the human being at a personal level and at a technical computer level. It is even these famous icons, are being presented. I don't think I'm getting this muddled up because I've not watched this documentary, so it's just coming up. So some of the images I'm showing are not relevant. In fact, none of it's relevant in a way. But, but I'm just trying to show, I don't even know who these two are because I haven't got the sound up. But that is the one, that was the famous goddess as a child, when I say movie goddess. And, many people believe the whole big human yarn. But I am now, after 50 years of believing it, doubting the whole story. And even if the story is true, it is still manipulation by the demigod goddess, or by even that which is now, like the legend, is passed on to keep, you believing these things, even if the person is no longer alive. And of course they have living ones now that captivate your attention on the computer, and without lipstick and stuff. So you must remember that they're, that it's, and of course they will, as I say, groom from childhood the most beautiful boys, to be suitable for conversion, because and this is of course a belief, a tradition, an occult type of religion, and that means that there is belief that this is there's belief that this leads to higher spirituality, like it is like they, as God was created in the image of man. Well, these particular ones believe that too, that God, that they were created in the image of their God, but their God is a duality, two-faced artificial being. But they believe in the spirituality connected to that system. In fact, they probably might, some of them may even believe it to be the absolute kind of truth, that it is the be and end all. But, like, these are all a question of whether what you want to think is so. I wanted to show those images because they show the early images there, but unfortunately as I haven't looked at this documentary, I don't know what I'm filming, so unfortunately I'm going to get a lot of wrong images that are not. That's why these videos are not that well done at all, I have to say that. But that's the difference between me and the more professional ones that are on the thing, because see, they can that's just a little card, and I just thought it had the see, that looks very that doesn't look so duality, but the actual proportions are impressive, and as pretty as they are, which I've always thought, they are not natural woman proportions, even though the body is the most womanly of womanly. I don't just think. I should fold up this video. The sound is coming outside. Some of the role reversals seem very hard to believe, but you do have to look closely. That's the goddess at about 18. About 18. Oh, I don't know what's coming up, that's the problem, because I just wanted to show the early images if I could. About 16, 17, final images. See, I don't know what's coming up, so it's not, there's noise coming, and I can hear the noise too, but doesn't matter, but it's distracting when you're making the video. It pushes me to make it, but at the same time it is a total distraction, even though it won't come out. You know, these are very interesting images, but it's kind of it's like it's the eye fools the mind. The eye fools the mind. The eye fools the mind, particularly when you have something that's very appealing, like extra artifice, that, in other words, prettiness, beautification, that is very enticing and very appealing. And this is probably, no doubt, how the God entity operates, you know, like it's, because I think the demigods are a reflection of the God of this world, how it operates, how it seduces and controls people, even if it's only getting, like myself, to watch these things. Gradual transformation, you know, from that, you know, to that. But I've lost my total track of things here, and I'm tired, so I can't keep filming. I'll try again later.